Enthusiasm's been really high. Obviously, quite a young squad and some changes within the coaching team. So we've got what we want in terms of lads being very excited. Always wanting more in around our meetings. Their concentration levels have been brilliant. In training sessions, they've been ready for one more rep, and they're ready to stay on and train for as long as we want. So in terms of the planning, the organisation of that, making sure that we do the right thing for them rather than just a little bit more and a little bit more, which is what they would want. That's been a challenge, but I think we've done a pretty good job so far.
How does the leadership side of things work? So obviously, a lot of young lads, Tom Burrow captain, who are you looking at people to kind of be the ones to step up? Young lads that we perhaps don't know a lot about. Is this kind of a chance for them to step up?
Yeah, there's always leadership development going on in the background. So there's a group of players, and Ferg looks after over time that these players who you might not see as much of. Some people like a Tom Burrow will be, they'll be working during their academy journey to make sure that they're ready when they step in. Buzzers, quite an easy example is a lad who's captain England 20s. Someone who's always earmarked as potential captain of the future. But there's a wider group of players who will spend times during course of the season where they're trying to get their leadership right, and we bring them in and out of senior leadership meetings that we do during the course of the season. So if halfbacks are ever into the squad, or sometimes on the fringe of the squad within Premiership weeks, they might sit on some leadership meetings so that when it comes their time, it's not completely new and fresh for them. So
how does it kind of work coming off the back of a block of Prem games? Do you look at things that you can work on from those games, or are you looking back to the first Prem Cup for things you can work on, or is it start afresh?
Yeah, a bit of both. The game's always evolving, isn't it? So the stuff that might have been fit for purpose then 5 weeks ago that we came out of pre-season and thought, right, we're going to try this against Bristol, against Connacht, and take it into the Prem. The game's evolved and changed a little bit. So we've got to make sure that we're moving forward. There's stuff that we're happy with that have gone well in this first block of Prem games, and there's stuff that we do need to tweak. But these players aren't the players who've done everything. So there needs to be a consistent theme of what playing for Sale Sharks looks like and what our DNA looks like and feels like in a training week and on the pitch when Sunday comes. But this group of players, they're not at the same level of experience as some of our senior players who are away playing for Barbars or England this week. So we can't have the same level of expectations with everything. So the roundabout answer is there's a little bit of both.
How do you kind of look at this competition? Like, obviously, you would love to go deep in it, but is it just as important to get these boys experience?
You're never going to put a Sale Sharks shirt on and be happy with anything less than the players competing as hard as they can to win. We're at a stage now as a club where we've got high expectations. We've got lads with a lot of England under-20s experience. We've got lads who are pushing international players. They've got to be at international players level to get into the first team, and so the expectations for the boys is high. In terms of looking too far ahead, we can't really do that. The first game that we've got is Gloucester. We've got the players available that we've got going into this week, and we've just got to focus on this week's prep, which is 3 good days of training and everything focused on Sunday, and then we can look after the next one.
But it's a really good chance for them, isn't it, to put their hands up and say, if there was a couple of injuries or if, for one reason or another, someone wasn't available, they're the next ones who can step up.
Yeah, and they will do, and we expect that they will. There's lads, lads in the squad this weekend who will play, who have already had that opportunity this year as young players who've had some Premiership game time. They've got some experience that they can share with the next generation. And hopefully, that's what this competition does do, is there should be that cycle of, next generation absolutely ready to go. The lads who are just on the fringe of first team, who've played a bit of first team rugby, can show that, right, they can really lead at this level, and then we push up to the next stage.
Just tell me about some of the boys that perhaps fans might not have heard of. 3 debutants this weekend. Patrick Hogfirst.
Yeah. Paddy's made a really good start to life at the club. He's not played a huge amount of club rugby yet. He's been out at Sale FC and had a couple of games for them, so still very raw. But there's long term. There's a player in there with a lot of talent. He's certainly got some. He's got some fight. Early doors where he came in and trained with us at the start of pre-season, and you can see straight away. Take a couple of knocks and how a player reacts to that. He reacted positively and aggressive with his next step, and for for a second row at this club. You're going to have to be tough. We think he's got that in there. Still very, very raw. But alongside Buzzer and it's probably the youngest second row partnership that we put on. Speaking to Josh Beaumont yesterday, youngest and the tallest. That's pretty good. But talking to some an old timer like Josh yesterday, he thinks that's probably the youngest second row partnership that we've got. It's an exciting one. There'll be mistakes in them. There's stuff that they'll get wrong. But yeah, still exciting.
Dylan Hodgkinson next.
Yeah, Dylan, similar to Hoggy in terms of a lad who's not played as much. He's been out at Lim. He's had more game time than Hoggy has probably so far. A lad who's come through. Yeah, Hoggy's come in from Newcastle Academy. He came in from last year. Dylan's come through our pathway, and he's a lad who we hope he can step up with the game time that he gets. But being around this squad, there's a lot to learn when you step in as second row in professional rugby. And for these young lads within their first year of academy, Dylan, the same as Hoggy, his ability to pick up all the line-out calls for the week, all the attack detail, all the defence detail in new structures when he's been out on a loan club at Lim, and then he comes into a first-team environment. You can get quite clouded for a young player. So for him, in terms of his challenge, it's getting everything right with if it's maybe limited game time.
Ruben Logan, the last one, who made his debut this week.
Yeah, Ruben had a real good experience last week at Caldy. He played really well. We got voted as our Shark of the Week in our. We always have a little bit of a hype up video during the training week of how lads have gone playing at their dual reg or loan clubs on the weekend. And Ruben had some real big moments playing for Caldy last weekend. Real powerful runner. If he gets his speed up, then he's going to run through people and quite exciting. Quite exciting future.
And just from your point of view, what's it like leading the team compared to your normal day-to-day, week-to-week job?
Yeah, it's a funny one. My daughter was asking me about it last night. She was like, "Why are you all swapping? Why are you doing different jobs?" And we're sort of saying why, in school, would your maths teacher ever go and teach French, and would your French teacher go and be a head of year? Why would you do stuff like that? And in other worlds, maybe it doesn't make sense like this, but we're always coaching the game. And as coaches, we have to challenge and we have to have an eye on everything. So if I'm normally kicking coach and looking at kick strategy, there's always a focus around what does that look like turning into attack, what does it look like turning into defence. So as coaches, while we're specialists, we do all care about and coach all the different areas of the game. I enjoy being part of the team and helping the lads prep. So. In terms of role change for me during the course of the week, it's a little bit more in terms of organisation, stuff behind the scenes, and some of the weekly plan, rather than just focusing on my area. But it's still the same great people I love working with day in, day out anyway, and it's still the same team that we're going out, we want to win a game with on the weekend. So change of focus, but still the same ambition to be good for Sale Sharks.
Let's have one word on Mike Forshaw, obviously back in the building this week. What's it been like having him back?
He's a legend of a bloke. He's a great character. He's a great coach. I've been very fortunate in my time here as a coach to work with some unbelievable defensive minds. So with Forsh being the first defence coach that I work with, and he's somebody who really inspires the players through his energy and his enthusiasm and his mindset and how he sees the game. With Al coming in and the way Al, was such a strong defence coach for all his time at Saracens and bringing that mindset in, and more recently with Byron coming in and his trajectory, which has been sensational. Another real strong defensive mind. The fact that Forsh is back in now and we're able to go right, we compare some of Forsh's principles with some of Byron's principles and Al's as well. It means from a playing point of view, I think the lads are getting some really real high quality energy from top professionals. So nice to have him back with us.
Last one, what are you expecting from Gloucester this weekend? They've had a lot of injuries, haven't they? But historically, perhaps been one of the clubs that's taken this competition, put out stronger teams perhaps in this competition.
Yeah, Gloucester's a fantastic club with a fantastic history and a great academy. They're not getting the results that they want so far in the Premiership, but we saw that last season that they tweaked their style of rugby. They played some great attacking stuff, and when they hit the straps, they were sensational back end of the year. So they're not a million miles off, although they've had a difficult run of fixtures, and they've had a real hard injury run so far. We don't know where they're up to. We don't know what their injury list looks like, and we don't know where their priorities look like over this next month going back into the Premiership block. We prepare for the best of them. We prepare as if they're bringing their strongest team to the core pack on Sunday, and we'll see how we go. And if it's anything different, our mindset's still exactly the same.